recording. This thing is sometimes difficult to predict. Good day. My name is Martin Schweiger and I'm a patent attorney and powerlifter in Singapore. Today is the 7th of October 2025, which is a Tuesday. I'm back in Singapore after 1 month traveling overseas. I was, among others, in Germany and also in Dubai. And I must say, what I find extremely difficult is to stick to my healthy lifestyle. And that comes because of the traveling. Let me explain a bit. So, it was okay to eat healthy and do my 10,000-12,000 steps every day, as long as I was in Singapore. Because there's a routine every day. And routine is always the same, which is waking up, even starts before getting up, waking up. And what I do is I measure my blood pressure while I'm still lying on my bed. And then I have some supplements that I take in order to prevent the blood glucose level from rising in the morning. And it's some sort of, I believe, mulberry is in there. And also two more substances. And so I take a few of those supplement pills before I even get up. Then usually I weigh myself and measure body fat and visceral fat content. And after that, I prepare myself a glass of lemon water with apple cider vinegar. And you can see already I need some devices for starting my day, and also the fruit and the cold water. And so what I just did, I mean, I could take my bathroom scales with me on a travel, but I don't. This is ridiculous. I did so for Japan, for the Himeji, but that's not really good. Some extra weight. I took the blood pressure device with me, but actually I should have left it at home because I never really used it. It's a lack of discipline that creeps in when I'm traveling. Yeah, then all this is followed by measuring my blood glucose and the ketones in the blood and my breath, and then documenting it. And that's the next thing. When I'm traveling, I cannot easily log that data directly into the Excel sheet that I'm using when I'm running a program. When I say running a program, I mean I have always these campaigns where I try to achieve a goal. And you know my campaign, right? By the end of the year, I try to reach a body weight as far below of 100 kg as possible. And I'm quite far away from that after that month in traveling. I believe I'm at something like 106 kg or so, a bit more, maybe. Not 107, but 106-ish. Then I would also log my Oura Ring measurements into the same Excel sheet. Yeah, and when traveling, I should have brought my charger for the Oura Ring along, which I thought I didn't. Ultimately, almost in the final week, I found out that I had a charger in my laptop case. But I forgot that I put it there. So my Oura Ring was empty after 5 days traveling, and I didn't charge it, although I could have done so, but without finding the charger or being aware that there's a charger, I couldn't. So I just lost also that measurement too. And you know how important measurements are for me, because I wouldn't do anything without being able to measure the success or non-success of that action. So essentially, I found myself not measuring for after 1 week at all. And that meant that I lost a visible control over my body values. And that had an impact on my behavior. And that one had an impact on my lifestyle. And the lifestyle obviously has an impact on my body values. And you know where I started, right? Because in December, on the 27th of December 2023, I was diagnosed with a metabolic syndrome recognized by diabetes 2. And that's where my journey started. So that's now 22 months, no, 21 months ago. What I can say is that I fought my entire metabolic syndrome without taking pharmaceuticals at all. And that was good. After 3 weeks, my diabetes too was under control. I lost 4 kg of body weight. And in June 2025, which means 18 months after the metabolic syndrome being discovered, I had a lab test, and the lab test showed that all the blood values of my body are under full control. Is very good values, much better than most of my peers in the same age would have. And I found this quite a success. So that came with measuring. So I set a new goal for the rest of the year. The weight class down, right, to 93 kg. The next step, I also want to improve my sleep, so I can see that my sleep is much better, measured by the Oura Ring. And I also wanted to reduce my visceral fat. Because the visceral fat is a source of inflammation in the body. Yeah, so, but again, traveling is not really a good idea when you're on such a program, because I cannot measure. Then also when I'm traveling, usually I'm meeting people for business, but also private. And that comes with eating and drinking, and not only drinking water, but also drinking alcohol, especially in Germany. I found that Dubai is quite easy in not drinking alcohol, because there is no alcohol, or difficult to get. And so it's very normal for people to go out for having a meal together without drinking alcohol. It makes it much easier to also not drinking alcohol, as compared with a situation where you find yourself surrounded by people who drink alcoholic beverages. No, I mean, it's possible. You can then drink something without alcohol, but very often then there are only soft drinks or water. And soft drinks is a no-go, because that comes with sugar that would spike my insulin, and which I don't want. So, and water, yes, I can drink water, yeah. Doesn't just taste nicely. Then in a restaurant, asking for a lemon, to squeeze the lemon into the water, often doesn't work, because they don't know how to charge for the lemon. Some do it, but not often. So I find myself, when people drink beer, that I drink something with taste that's not sweet, And because I don't like beer really, unless it's a German craftsmanship beer, then what I would drink is wine. But then again, that comes with alcohol. And you cannot drink one glass of wine over a time period of 3 or 4 hours that you have for a meeting. Yeah. And half a bottle of wine is easily 350 calories. Not good. Then the next thing that is difficult is walking. I mean, yes, you can walk anywhere, but planfully walking, measuring the steps, and walking with such a speed that the heartbeat is above 100 is not easy. Of course, you get, when you have a step counter, you get easily 10, 12,000, 15,000 steps, especially when you walk around at the airport. But the slow walking is not what is the efficient thing for my metabolism. It's about the zone 2 or 3. Yes, of course, you can then climb stairs. Yes, you can, but then you don't have sports clothing. So also the walking part falls away. Strength training, difficult to do when you're traveling because number one, you need your gear, which is easier in Germany because I have some weightlifting gear there. But then you need to find a gym where they offer the free weights. Yes, you can find such gyms, but then the weights are usually low because the racks don't have those security catching rods that you need. I always put them as little the lifted weight is. I put some security bars left and right to prevent me from being crushed under the bar if anything happens. You never know, you can pass out and then you can hurt yourself with the bar when you squat. Same for bench press. Still recording? Yeah. So, in 5 weeks, I only did 1 strength training. And that's really pathetic. Yeah. Next issue is then what you eat. So in Germany, different from other countries, they have wonderful bread. And bread causes insulin spikes, also blood sugar spikes that for the, yeah, but then, so for the first week, no bread. But then I was invited to a birthday party and there was fresh craftsmanship beer from a barrel. Is it called a barrel? I don't know. And also there were pretzels, Bavarian pretzels, which is Laugengebäck. Funny word. And of course did I have some pretzels. But pretzel is really bad for the blood sugar and then the insulin. Also when you go somewhere and you eat a roast, the Germans have very tasty dumplings. There are 2 types, bread dumplings and potato dumplings. And both cause blood sugar spikes. Then also the gravy often has flour in it for binding it, cause blood sugar spikes. So if you ask me, that's the thing. So after 2 weeks or so, or 3 weeks in traveling, I found myself back in the old habits that I had before I developed a metabolic disease. Immobile, eating food that causes blood sugar spikes and therefore insulin spikes, not being in ketosis. And that causes, and no supplements. So nothing. I even didn't take my vitamin D because I forgot it in Singapore. And vitamin D is really important for me because for some reason my vitamin D levels are very low. Not doing a walk under the sun when traveling, as today, would add to that problem. Yeah. So I decided then, okay, let's continue this lifestyle. Yeah, what also added is I lost my continuous glucose my continuous blood glucose monitor, and yes, you want to say hello? Hi. Yes, YouTube. So But that, I suppose, happens all the time when I travel. And I'm just thinking of what I change in the future when I travel. And probably I wouldn't change much. Maybe the Oura Ring and the, yeah. But again, it doesn't really matter because the Oura Ring tells me what I already know from my behavior. So as improving the sleep, as soon as I drink the smallest amount of alcohol the evening, my sleep afterwards would be bad because my resting heart rate would be elevated by 30% maybe, from below 60 to above 75, 80 maybe. So, and then the walking, I would know when, if I don't walk for 1 hour per day, then I don't have my necessary steps for that day. And 1 hour, setting aside 1 hour walking when traveling is difficult. Because, I mean, yes, I could, but the question is also, can I not just do nothing for 3 weeks and then come back? I decided I'd do that. So I'm back since last week, so end of October. And I slowly started to get back on track. First fighting the jet lag, then there was the German Unity Day celebration that came with German food again and alcohol, of course. German Unity Day. So I decided, okay, so the first week, the first 5 days, I just don't change anything from traveling, and I continue. I didn't walk because I had so much work to do to catch up with all what I need to do. Yeah, then I'm back since yesterday, and yesterday I declared yesterday for the start day of my next program, which is again 100 days, no alcohol, and getting my values to the baseline. I forgot fasting. Yeah, while traveling, fasting difficult or too impossible. So all the stuff, but today is my first fasting day, it's Tuesday. And every week I fast on Tuesday and Wednesday. And so today is my first fasting day. I do water fasting today, and tomorrow dry fasting as much as I can. And try to get my blood ketones above 1.0, my breath analyzer values above 50 ppm, and of course, no blood sugar spike. During the day, which is my baseline that I've established. And when I think back, I started this systematic weight loss, non-alcohol, everything this year in January for preparing for the Singapore Nationals. There are 2 balls. Can you see? I really would like to kick that ball, but not now. So, the first time I did, I believe, something like 20 days. Or was it 14 days? Or 10, something like that, I forgot. The second time, the second program was then something like 3 weeks before the international competition in Himeji, Japan. Another ball. Someone is hiding balls here. And the third project this year was the 43 days in a row before I went to Germany, end of August. So let's see. For my coming program, I want to do, more than 43 days. So now is October the 7th. So 23 days left here. So if I do October, November, then I have more than 43 days. It's now 50 or whatever. So I can do this, I think. And I plan to drink alcohol again for Christmas or New Year's Eve. Sounds like a plan, huh? Yeah. That brings me to my next topic, which is I told you about this friend of mine who was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer, liver cancer, earlier this year in April. And I didn't hear from him. I sent him some materials about fasting and the influence on cancer, and I didn't hear from him at all. Until a few days ago, and he was very brief or curt. He said something like, "Wow, but I have lost 25 kg since April." And I said, "Wow, if that is true, that's a lot. That's something like every week 1 kg. So I told him, try to get into ketonic mode. And then he asked, what is ketonic mode? Never ever measures anybody my ketones. And I said, wow, these doctors, they know that cancer cells cannot live on ketones, and they never tell their patients that when you have cancer, you should try to get into ketonic mode. Yeah, so what I did is I told my friend, hey, here, buy these 2 devices on Amazon and try to get into ketonic mode constantly. 1.0 blood millimole per liter blood ketones and 50 or more ppm breath analyzer acetone. And I even sent him links to Amazon where he could buy those. So let's hope, because I know many people have starved their cancer cells to death by getting into ketonic mode. And I know my friend, he can lose another 25 kg if he wants. And he needs to do so because all those healed cancer patients that I know, they have starved themselves to a degree that they look like inmates of a concentration camp, with the bones coming out and so. Actually, which is also my goal ultimately. I want to compete once in my life in the 83 kg class. And that would mean ending up eating as little as 800 calories per day. And that would mean a body fat percentage of less than 5%, which is not sustainable in the long run. But at least I want to try. It's also called meager cat, chat maigre. Yeah, now you know my plan. But I don't think that this will work within a year. That's about 23 kg down from my current weight. Now. And so, yeah, I can do 10 kg, 15 kg, no problem. But 25 from my current weight, look at me, not so fat. Also, I must say my body fat percentage is 28%. Or at least it was so in August. So there's 23% body fat that can go, which would bring me to the 83 kg. So now to the measurements. I found that people really overdo it with interpreting measurement values. Right? For example, I give you an example. You can measure your VO2 max in absolute values. That would require that you have special equipment that measures the oxygen that is breathed in and the oxygen that is breathed out. And from the difference, you can calculate the carbon dioxide produced. And you can also measure that carbon dioxide in, carbon dioxide out. And that would give you a clear absolute value for your oxygen consumption. And if you pair that with a power measurement and you apply a formula, quite complicated, you arrive at a certain absolute value for your VO2 max. Difficult measurement method. And I don't recommend it because that's a value that doesn't really tell you something in absolute figures. What I would suggest instead is that you do VO2 max measurements. Can be regular or irregular, and you train in between. Training meaning you do training that improves your VO2 max. That comes with high intensity periods. And what people also don't know often is that measuring the VO2 max is also a VO2 max training. So, and what you do is you log the development of your VO2 max, and for measuring that VO2 max you can use simplified methods. And I can show you a few. Important is that you measure the power that your body produces and the heart rate, and then you follow a certain protocol according to the estimation measurement. And these estimation measurements are calibrated, depend on the gender, sex of the person. There's a difference between males and females, and also probably age, but I don't know. It doesn't matter, because you measure with one method. You can compare what other people using the same method get as a VO2 max, and then you just monitor the development over time and protocol it, write it up. And that applies to all the measurements. Like, you can do a precise body fat measurement in a lab, some scans that you can do, but it's not important. You can also buy one of those simple bathroom scales that I have, and they come with 4 measurement electrode points. So, and you do some electromagnetic wave resonance measurement across those 4 points. And they are also calibrated. They may be precise or not. It doesn't really matter, because you measure over time and you generate a cloud of measurement data and you see where the real value is as an average between those measurements. And then you watch the development over time. And that will tell you where you are. And maybe you find another method. I do. There is a certain hotel in Shanghai, and they have some sort of body scan. It's like an MRT. You lie down, and then they measure with some radiation, and then they give you the value. And you can then try to tally that with other measurements. I did, but it doesn't really work. But what I know is I will travel back to that hotel and then do the same measurement again. And then I can compare the development with my bathroom scale, the fat measurement bathroom scale, with the fat measurement of this other equipment. And then I can tally better because there's an offset then between the two measurement methods. So that is one way of looking at it. And I would say that this is the way you should look at measurements. The same also for blood values. And the blood values also have a problem because in labs they use at least two different What is this? There's a white fog coming out here. Now I know. The smell tells me that this is fogging done, and probably in the basement car park of this building. And the white fog is what the ventilation brings out. So the units for the blood measurements, there are milligrams per liter or milligram, I don't know. And the other one is in millimole, which is the amount of a substance. And that's, I already made a big mistake in confusing two measurements for vitamin D. And yeah, so that's important. Yeah, I find this really important that I also, when I was in Germany, I met a friend of mine and I told her to buy the Oura Ring. The thing is only, the Oura Ring is expensive. I bought it years back with a good discount, but it's still expensive. And I'm also willing to pay the subscription fee because then my data is stored in the cloud. And I want to have it stored so I have a log. Okay, it's more expensive, but I believe I can afford it, and it's still cheaper than paying a doctor or pharmaceuticals when you have a heart disease or something. So I'm fine paying the Oura. because my health is also my insurance for retirement. I want to stay working, and well, that's interesting. $15 for all you can eat buffet. Maybe I come here, but unlikely. Yeah, I'm cooking my own stuff. It's better. Yeah, so my friend bought not the Oura Ring, but a much cheaper version. Much cheaper, something like less than half the price. And she was reluctant to show me that ring because she was fearing that her buying the cheaper version would, I don't know, make her look cheap or whatever. Which it doesn't, because for me that's just a measurement device, and if you log your values, then it's okay. And these health rings are very good because they combine so many measurements into one thing, and it has helped me a lot. And I'm currently using it for improving my sleep. So, and I want to improve my sleep. So, and it's not about the absolute value that it measures, but it's about the development over time. And if it develops in the way you want, then it's good. Precision or whatever is not really the problem. Consistency and improvement is the issue. And yeah, one more thing about measuring. My third project is not only losing visceral fat and improving my sleep, as mentioned before, but also improve my gut health, because the gut health is important for so many things. And what I bought is a food marble. Food marble is a measurement device for measuring the hydrogen and another gas in your breath. But it also comes with a logging software. You measure what you eat, you measure the consistency of your stool, and you measure a few other things. You log. Yeah, I got this device when I was in Germany because they don't send it to Singapore. So, and I tried to use it there, but impossible. So I postponed it to using in Singapore. So my plan is to now get back to my baseline with my metabolic values, and then do some tests with a food marble and improve my nutrition. And I improve my nutrition by doing some yogurt myself. And I bought cultures of lactobacilli. So then I started making my own yogurt. And of course, as you can imagine, I also measure what I do there. And I measure the temperature, where I keep the milk with the seeds of the lactobacilli. I measure the time, how long I breed them. And I measure the pH value when I start and when I finish. And my friend, the friend who told me how to make yogurt, he said that, oh, measuring the pH is so expensive. A measurement instrument would cost $200 or so. And I said, but you can also use test strips that you, similar to the urine measurements. And those test strips have a precision of half a unit. So when it says it has a pH of 4, it could be 3.75 or also 4.25. But I don't care, because what I found is that the important thing is that the change when I start, usually I start at a pH of 6, and when I finish, and that's the absolute minimum, it would have a pH of 3. And only if I stop it before the assumed breeding period that is necessary for converting the milk, would the pH value be less, more than the 3. So I stopped one culture before the original time, and the pH value was only at 4, but not at 3. Yeah, but sufficient for me, because it's all about the consistency of the yogurt and the taste and how it smells, and not so much about the pH. But I find it important for documenting, because that would give me an insight of what I do. So now, 1 hour almost, my first walk since I'm back home in Singapore, and I will do more in the future. See you again. Goodbye.